Hello everybody and welcome to my video, Getting Tidier. I hope you're all well and you're having a lovely week. So my video starts with me doing some sorting out for Christmas. You'll see me doing work in the dining room and cleaning and tidying in the hall, and also the kitchen. You'll also see a couple of clips. You'll see the inside of one of our beautiful cathedrals. So we're lucky enough in Norfolk to have two cathedrals, an Anglican cathedral and also a Catholic cathedral. The video that I'll show you is the inside of the Anglican cathedral. And when many of you come and visit Norfolk, which I know you're planning to do, those of you that are able to travel, hopefully you'll get a chance to attend one of our beautiful services. And if you stay for that long, I've done a couple of little clips where you can hear the incredible acoustics. So I do hope you enjoy that. I know a number of you quite like seeing a bit of a balance between me doing loads of stuff in the house, but also seeing a little bit of what I get up to. So the last few days have been very busy. It's always busy this sort of time of year, isn't it? But on Tuesday, I delivered my quite important event that I had in the city of Norwich. So I dropped my daughter off. It was unfortunate. It was the same day that my husband was going into London. So that meant that I had to drop my daughter off, then find parking somewhere in Norwich, which I wasn't quite sure exactly where I was going to park because some of the car parks get full. Then walk to the location, deliver my kind of overview, update, introduction to the event that we were running. And then I stayed to the event and stayed there until right at the end I had a mince pie. I was very pleased with how it all went. We got some really lovely feedback. Afterwards, I got two lovely emails thanking me for everything and saying how well the event went. So I was very pleased. It was also quite nice at the end. A couple of people came up to me and said, "Oh, I really found that interesting." And so that was good. We've had a bit of a nightmare with this whole thing that I'm trying to sort out with the solicitor. After managing to get that account sorted out, we're then trying to sort out some insurance. And for a whole range of different reasons, the type of insurance that I now want doesn't apparently exist. It's a bit frustrating. We normally go with an insurance broker, but they've been merged. So it's now a Norfolk-based company merged with an Essex company. And sales seems to go through to Essex. So I just wonder whether they've got access to different policies. Because I've always had exactly the same sort of policy. And now this lady is telling me, oh, that doesn't exist. And nobody in the office has ever heard of that. I always feel like this has to be, nothing can be simple. Nothing can be straightforward. There always has to be a couple of little dramas just to make life exciting. Just so nothing's calm. That's what I think. So I am really busy, obviously in the house and outside of the house. And I'm pleased to say that Lizzie from Wales has been in touch to claim her prize. So thank you very much for your email, Lizzie. I have received that and I will organise to package up one of the macrame hangers and get that sent off to you. Lizzie also sent me a lovely photograph of her and one of her grandchildren, which was really nice to see. So thank you for sharing that with me. To the other winner, so it's 3 and 4, please see one of my previous videos for that. And towards the end of this video, I'm going to announce the other 2 winners. So please do look out for that. So that was Tuesday. Then Wednesday, I've had various different meetings. To be honest, how the days go, I sometimes think, what was I actually doing yesterday? And what was I doing the day before? You sort of lose track of what day it is. And I also find that when I'm really busy like this week, I feel like when I get to Thursday, it just feels like it should be Saturday. So then Tuesday evening, we had an absolutely fantastic concert. And so we all went to bed quite late. And then yesterday, after various different meetings, picked my daughter up from school and she had her band's Christmas concert, which was really lovely. They played, obviously, lots of Christmas songs. I've not heard them since the summer and they really sounded very, very good. So that was lovely. And then we had the Girl Guides Christmas party. So at the moment, it's busy day and night. Then today, during the day, I managed to get some work done at my desk. I didn't have that many meetings first thing. So then we had our Christmas lunch meal, and I'm preparing for a workshop that I'm delivering tomorrow. So I'm delivering a workshop online from 9:30 to 12:30. But this evening is when I've got this axe throwing stroke beer pong, which I'll let you know how that goes. Not kind of my sort of cup of tea, I would say is the best way to describe it. But as I told you before, I'm going to go along and I'll have a go and I'll join in. As I've told you before, I don't really drink much alcohol. I drink every so often, not quite rare to be honest. I might have the odd glass of wine, maybe a couple of times a year. I quite like Malibu, but don't have that very often. And I'm delivering this workshop tomorrow, so if I'm honest, I don't even think I'll have one drink. I might even drive in, and if I drive in, then I won't drink anything. I know all the rules vary in different countries, but in England, you can have like one small glass of wine or one alcoholic drink. But to be honest, I don't ever really see the point in that. Each to their own, but if I'm driving, I tend not to have anything to drink at all. So thank you very, very much for your recent comments and for sharing different ideas and thoughts and updates of what you're all doing. Seems that everybody's quite busy for Christmas and preparing for Christmas in different ways. I do really feel that when you get the Christmas decorations, it gets worse. When you get everything down, it gets worse before it gets better. And what I mean by that is you've got all these boxes sitting about everywhere. I do love my Christmas tree. Now it's nearly done, so you'll see that towards the end of the video again. I've probably got about 20 more decorations that I need to put on the tree. It seems this year I've decorated it completely by myself. Just how it goes sometimes. Usually we do it together, and usually I do it with my daughter helps, but it's just trying to fit everything in. She was very keen to get the tree up. Although a couple of times she was in the room when I was putting it up, but she was either having something to eat or just relaxing for a bit. So I'm glad that the tree's up. And there's a few other decorations that I need to put up. I've written nearly all of my Christmas cards, and I've got a pile that need to be hand delivered. And what I've done this year is all the ones that need to be hand delivered, I've put a sticker on them. I've had these stickers for about 10 years and never used them. So I thought, if it's by hand, rather than writing by hand, I'll put a little sticker in the corner. And I've also sent off my American cards, so fingers and toes crossed that they do get there on time. As I put all the decorations up, I do like to reminisce and think about some of the stories connected to them. Do you know, for those of you with grandchildren or young children, I think one of the best Christmas type item I bought was this, it's called a Santa press. And what it is there's sheets of like a certain type of paper in the set, and your child writes out their Christmas list, and you put it in the magic press, you put it in the oven, and the magic does its thing, and it shrinks down. It's very clever, this magic press. And then you put the special piece of ribbon on it, and you then wait to see. I'll have to read the book again as to what my daughter does. I think you put it somewhere, and then once Father Christmas has read it, it suddenly appears on the tree. And then you know that he's read the list. Now what's lovely is my daughter's been doing this now for quite a few years. So I'm now sitting in my lounge looking at my tree, and I can straight away count 6 letters. And whereas you'd forget that normally as to what she wanted for Christmas when she was like 6 or 7, but I've got it on this little card thing that's like, it turns into a Christmas ornament. And I've got it, as long as that paper lasts, I've got it for forever. And one of the little things she wrote, that was when one of her elves was naughty. I'm just looking at my tree now so I can read it to you, because it's really lovely. Oh, here you go, here it is. It says, so this is when she woke up And they'd all formed like a little train and sitting in various different toys. And they'd got loads of her toys out. And she wrote, "Dear Father Christmas, I need to tell you that my elfin friends have been really naughty." And this is what they did. They made a club not to tell you, and they sailed the 7 seas of jewellery, because there was all bits of jewellery that they'd piled in the little train, with my bears, and they switched my advent calendars. Lots of love. And then she put her name. So I've got one of these for like every other years that says, "Dear Father Christmas, please can I have these presents? A pick-me-pop, Lego, honeycomb, brownie uniform, ballet shoes and books." That was from 2019. So it's really nice. And she said that she wanted to do one for this year. So I've got quite a few years now. And it's just so lovely to look back on. So I'm going to go through some of your comments now. Thank you so much for all of the comments that you've added. As you know, I love reading through the comments. I love knowing whereabouts you're from. I always look at the YouTube stats to see who views my channel the most. As you would expect, it's mostly women of a similar sort of age to me, a little bit younger or a little bit older, which is super. Also, predominantly my viewers are from the United Kingdom and the United States, and then quite a few different countries across Europe. Every so often, I get someone from much further afield, which is interesting, but it's lovely to see where everyone's from. So thank you for those of you who've also added that on my channel to tell me where you're from, like with the county or the state. I love reading about that. And then some of the countries I then have a little look at, or I look at the images on Google of the cities and that sort of thing. Right, so I'm going to go through some of your comments. So Nana Tracy says, "I got another bin bag of stuff out of the house today. Grandchildren's spare clothes that they've grown out of, and some toys they never play with. I really feel they play better when they don't have so many toys." You're completely right about that. I think often children just don't know where to start when there's loads and loads of things. I used to circulate things and move things upstairs and then bring stuff back down so that she had a range. Otherwise, I just don't think they sort of, can see the wood for the trees, so to speak, because there's so many things. Nana Tracy says, "Also decluttered my ironing board because I rarely iron now, as I hang or fold the same day I've washed them. But if I need to, I can simply do it on a towel on the bed." Good point. "It stood slotted down by the wardrobe for far too long, collecting dust." Great, you've sorted your jobs out properly. Decluttering is never done, but I'm maintenance level now. Cool, I've got a long way off to get to maintenance level, Nana Tracy. I really have. So easy to clean for me now, and that makes me so happy. That's what I want to do. Where you go into a room and there's a lot less. That's what I want to do. Andrea says, "Congratulations to the winners." Rainey Milliman, she says, "As I watched you set up your nativity scene, I remembered the set my mum had. They were painted porcelain figures and were really well done. They were fairly tall also, around 5 to 6 inches, with a wooden stable. I think my sister got them, and I believe my daughter-in-law has them now. It's fine with me because I didn't really know where I could display them, as I've always had a couple of cats, and before that lived in an apartment with very little storage. Anyhow, it got me thinking about how I wouldn't mind having a nice little set to put on my mantle. So I found a nice, well-detailed painted resin set on good old Amazon and ordered it. It was 17% off and without a stable, but I think I can make a simple stable out of something around here. I will still use some poster putty to stick the figures in place in case the cats get too curious." Good point. "By the way, our black cat that we were trying to give a comfortable life despite health issues passed away during an attempt of a 3rd procedure, 2 days before Thanksgiving. Oh, she was such a sweet cat and is missed dearly. I still have 3 others that are more curious than she was. It's so sad when you lose a pet, because they really are part of the family, so sad to read that. Oh. Well, at least you can be sure, Rainey, that you did everything that you possibly could for her. That's the thing, isn't it? You really tried for her. Cynthia says, hello Emma, here's a question. In your kitchen, what if you put a tall, skinny bin or basket at the end of the counter, opposite the stove? Keep the unwashed laundry in there instead of on the floor and in front of the washer. It would look much tidier. I think you're right if I had some sort of container to put my washing in. The problem is I wouldn't be able to open the door properly because my oven goes all the way to the hinges on my outside door, if you can kind of visualise what I mean. And I use that door. I'm the only one that really uses that door because I use it to go out to the bins or to go out to the toilet. So that might be a bit of a struggle, but I could do with something rather than piling it on the floor. You'll be pleased to know that I don't have it piled up like that when people come round. So that's only when I'm just literally washing is needs to be done and it's going to be put on that morning. Carrie says congratulations to the winners 3 and 4. Sally Lovejoy says I've decided to have a declutter of some of my poetry books. I took them to the local charity shop. The next week my best friends came for lunch. She said I bought you a present from the charity shop. Guess what it was? One of my own poetry books. And I replied to say, did you tell your friends? And also how the same thing happened in our family. So a member of my family got rid of loads and loads and loads and loads of children's books. And then another member of my family went into that same charity shop, found some lovely children's books, bought them, took them round. And she looked at them and was like, they look familiar. And they had a bit of a laugh about that. So I'm sure some of you have found it quite amusing how I have battled with this particular Christmas decoration. So it was in a real muddle. Now this Christmas decoration we add to on the solstice. So usually the 21st or 22nd of December, and we will take something from the outdoors and bring it indoors. It's a very, very simple decoration. So a bit of like sparkly string with additional pieces of sparkly string hanging down, and you'll see it at a better angle in a little while. And so we attach pine cones, pieces of laurel, pieces of different types of tree, and it's to remind us that actually there is so much beauty and so many wondrous things that we're given for free. And in times of commercialisation, a time where people are spending a lot of money, that people end up wasting a lot of money, a time where people feel worried and dissatisfied because they can't buy certain things, and just a reminder that actually spending time in nature and appreciating the things that we have around us is so important, and so much more important than many things that you can spend money on. So you will see that falls down many, many times. So in the end, I attach it with my picture rail hooks and some blue tack. And there's a few gaps. So yeah, we'll usually go out around the solstice when the days become lighter, and we think about the sun returning back into our lives after dark days before Christmas. We'll add a few new bits to it. And I need to find some way of ensuring that it doesn't get so tangled up, because I did exactly the same thing last year. I also wondered whether the blue tack wasn't working properly because it was dusty on the picture rail. So I got my super brush that I keep in my junk drawer, which is no longer a junk drawer, and just dusted the picture rails. You can't really see in the video, but there was quite a lot of dust and bits of paint and so on up there. So I dusted them off, and then the blue tack and the picture hook stayed a little bit easier. And so far it hasn't collapsed, hasn't fallen on the floor. So you'll have to let me know what you think about this. I know it's a bit unusual, not something that everyone has in their homes, but we like it, and it's a nice reminder when you come into the hall. And a family member mentioned it actually. They said, oh, I really like that. It's very, very simple, but we like it. So I'm going to announce my other two winners now of my giveaway. So just a reminder, I have to say that this giveaway has nothing to do with YouTube. YouTube's not responsible for any part of my giveaway. If there's any problem with my giveaway, it's nothing to do with YouTube. I will bear all costs associated with the giveaway, including postage to anywhere in the world. So I have noted down the rules connected to my giveaway, but I'm solely responsible. So I'm going to announce the other two numbers in terms of who has won. So I've done this in advance, and I'm pleased to announce that the next person who's won one of my macrame hangers is Holly 782. So congratulations, Holly, you've won. And the other person who has won one of my macrame hangers is number 11, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, Linda Hayes. So please do comment on this video, and as soon as you comment on this video, I will reply with my email address, and then we can organise how I can arrange for the macrame hanger to be sent to you. So congratulations. So the next comment I'm going to go through is from Louise Tilbrook, and Louise says, you make progress every video. On New Year's Eve, I'm helping my mum declutter her house. I went to Aldi yesterday and bought some jumbo garbage bags with ties. We have to declutter 2 bedrooms and the laundry. That sounds good. That sounds a really lovely thing to do for someone on New Year's Eve, because it's ready to start the new year with a lot less in their house. Do you remember all the stuff that I've got in my spare bedroom for the car boot sale? And lots of you said, oh, get rid of that, get rid of that. I went in their spare room the other day. I think it was to get some Christmas wrapping paper. I can't remember. Oh no, it's because my husband had put loads of clothes on the bed when we had guests round. I was desperately hunting to try and find some item of clothing, and I can't. It's in such a muddle, all my laundry. And as I was in there, a bag fell off the top of my big pile of car boot things, and I just thought, oh really? Some of these things are not going to make much money in the car boot sale, and I think I should have taken some of your advice. You know, when you said just get rid of it? Some of these things I just don't want to see again. So I might get rid of some more of those things. Just give them to the charity shop so they're outside of my house. Judith says, hello Emma. I'm so happy for you reaching 3,008 subscribers. Yes, I saw the little statue of Peter. Fascinating story, and what a wonderful tour you gave us. I've been trying to get subscribed to your gardening channel, but can't find the link. My goodness, what you have accomplished in this video is amazing. You are doing such a wonderful job. I'm very proud of you. What a lovely comment and lovely post. So I hope you're able to find my gardening channel now. It's very, very small, and I don't post anything near how often I would like to post, because I don't get much time to get outside in the garden. Certainly now the weather's changed, I have very little time, but hopefully more posts next year. Next comment is from William Hawthorne, who's Lizzie from Wales. And Lizzie says, I'm proud of you, Emma. And then Lizzie's got some very, very sad news. She says, I lost my mum last week after 6 terrible weeks in hospital, 50 miles away. She was 95 and will be sorely missed. I really don't feel like decorating this year, but I will do for my little granddaughter. We are best blessed to have her in all of our lives for generations. Lucky people who got to grow up with mum, gran and great-gran. Oh, that's very, very sad. I'm very, very sad for you that you've lost her, and also just before Christmas. But that, like you said, it's very, very lucky that you got to have her in your life for so long, and all those Christmas memories which she was part of. Then Lizzie continued, woohoo, thanks Emma, look forward to owning a macrame holder. I had one for years and I don't know what happened to it. I bet you decluttered it. Oh. Roberta Henry says, I like your commentary. I just discovered your channel and have now subscribed. So I replied back and just checked whether Roberta was in the UK, and she said yes, in Scotland. So we've got someone else from Scotland. That's fantastic. Teresa says, great video, Emma. Your nativity scene on your fireplace is amazing. And your Christmas tree is beautiful. I've often wondered, have you ever thought of buying a heated clothes area? I'm getting closer and closer to thinking about purchasing a heated clothes area. The reason why I haven't in the past is I'm so worried about the amount of ridiculousness it's going to be for my electricity bill. But in reality, actually, I'm putting the heating on. So if I'm putting the heating on and the cost is very, very high, from that, because when I put the central heating on, that literally comes on for the whole house, whereas the heated air dryer would just be that, wouldn't it? I did reply to Teresa and said I always find it very strange, and every year I smile because the nativity set has 2 cats, 2 little black cats, and I don't know how the black cats managed to get into the nativity scene. I never remember black cats, but apparently they are. Next comment is from Wenda Jones. And Wenda says, my husband's mum gave some of his books and toys away when he was at a relative's. I'm sure this is the reason he can never throw anything away. I think it's another one of those situations, isn't it, where people feel a bit wary that when something's been given away and they weren't aware of that. Particularly if the person was like at someone else's house or away from the home and suddenly the items were taken. I can quite understand why someone would then not want to get rid of things in the future. Dolly Scrumptious says, hi Emma, this is Nick from Devon. So Nick's giving us an update because of these back problems. So she says, the back is improving, I'm glad to say. But I did have a slightly dodgy day yesterday when I had to rest, so guess what I did? I watched the Box of Delights on iPlayer, all 6 episodes. What a coincidence that you should mention it in today's video. I had a vague recollection of it from 1984. I was 13 then, but really it was like watching it for the first time. I did have to smile at some of the dated special effects though. I know, it's funny, isn't it? And also I can remember being like quite scared a part of that. Well, I suppose like how I told you how my daughter was a bit wary about some of the scenes. And yet the special effects are very dated when you watch it back now. But I suppose at the time it was quite clever. 1984, very different time. And then Nan Holmes says, it's wet and windy here in North Carolina. I have a random question. Is Christmas caroling a thing in England? So I said to Nan Holmes, is she talking about people singing carols? We call them carol singers. We don't call them caroling. That's not something that we use. That's not a word we use. It's not very common nowadays. You do get it every so often, but it's quite unusual. I can remember years and years ago. Do you remember that story that I told you all, where I put a pumpkin outside my door because I hadn't realised that by putting a pumpkin meant that I'd get trick-or-treaters. So I put the pumpkin because I liked the pumpkin, and then I got trick-or-treaters knocking on the door. So the first group of children that knocked on my door, I said to my husband, oh no, trick-or-treaters, we've got nothing in. And because I'd answered the door, because I wasn't expecting anyone, if I'd have known there were trick-or-treaters, I might have not answered the door because I had nothing in. So I said to my husband, what should we do? So we had no sweets in and we had no biscuits, nothing. So I gave them £5. Well, they were really chuffed with that. Off they went, skipping down the road. About 3 weeks later, so this was in November, very, very early, guess who I had knocking on my door singing We Wish You a Merry Christmas? Literally one verse of We Wish You a Merry Christmas. I said, aren't you going to sing a little bit more? It was so funny. Obviously they thought, oh, we'll knock on that door because they gave me £5. Rebecca Corsa Wallace says, we're only saying on the weekend about the BBC Sunday run-up to Christmas programmes. I love the Borrowers and the Lion, Witch and the Wardrobe. Me too. I loved both. And it seems like we don't really get that feeling anymore, do we? Because you can just watch them all back to back. But I used to be really excited to tune into those. I did try to read The Borrowers to my daughter, but I actually found the text was really sort of hard going in terms of quite a lot of using Old English, and some sort of quite unusual phrases. So we kind of we left it for a bit. That was a couple of years ago, but I should maybe dig it out again and start reading that. They're fantastic stories. And of course, this Saturday we'll be watching the next part of Box of Delights. So although yes, we can watch it all together, like the lady who commented on my post, I'm trying to create that sort of excitement where my daughter will look forward to watching a little bit. And actually, I might buy myself some Turkish Delight. Thank you for that reminder, Rebecca. Next comments is from Amanda Matthews. And Amanda says, there are lots of people who can join Costco, as you said, doing some jobs, but also self-employed at some, even being in AA or RAC. Worth looking if people really want to shop there, but most things are really no cheaper than in normal supermarkets. We have not renewed the membership for a couple of years now, as it's not worth it. Do you mean the membership of the AA or RAC in terms of the road cover if your car breaks down, Amanda? Is that what you're thinking of? Yeah, I've got mixed feelings about the RAC. I don't know whether, tell me if I ever told you this. Did I ever tell? I don't think I ever told you. And did I tell you the story about how when our car broke down last year on the way back from Italy? No, let me think. It wasn't last year, it was the year before. No, so you wouldn't have ever heard about this. At some point, remind me to tell you about the story when our car broke down. And we had RAC cover. And honestly, if I did a really short version, it would go on for quite some time. And I'll have to see whether I can add the clip as to what happens. Cut a really long story short, we were stranded just outside of Paris, so we never made it to Monet's Gardens, which I was disappointed about because we'd booked that and paid for accommodation and tickets to go and visit. And then the RAC were good at getting us back, but they never told us about getting the car back. And then we had a prediction of how much work the car was needed, and the RAC then said the car was a write-off. But we decided we still wanted it back because we didn't think it was a write-off. We paid $1,300 for the car to be brought back by a company that RAC recommended. And the man knocked on the door and he said to me, see, I said to you, remind me to tell you later, and now I'm telling you. He said to me, oh, just want to let you know, but it's a bit strange. I've told my manager it looks like in France that they'd started doing the work on your car. So I said, right, looks like it's all been taken to pieces, and it looks like they had assumed that you weren't going to request it back and that they've started doing the repair. So because of that, I videoed the car coming off the trailer. And I'm so thankful I did, because I wanted to video it coming off the trailer, then I was going to show the inside of the car, which would have proved that I had not interfered or done anything. So as I'm videoing the car coming off the trailer, I suddenly realised that the car is moving backwards on said trailer and there's nobody in the driver's seat. And I watched as the man ran round the back, tried to stop the car from coming off the trailer, didn't manage to stop the car from coming off. The car then bashed into one of the vans that had also been brought back from France. It went across the road, it hit two cars and ended up marooned on a wall quite a distance down the road, on the other side of the road. And then when I contacted RAC about this, they explained that they wouldn't give us a refund of, bringing the car back because they had fulfilled their promise of returning the car. And honestly, the debacle went on for months and months and months, and we really did not know what was going to happen with the car, whether we should go and buy another car, what we should do. And that meant for months we had no transport, so we were solely reliant upon buses. Thankfully, a family member, mother-in-law actually, lent her car a number of times. So if we had something really, really urgent where we needed transport, she helped us out. And that meant going to pick my daughter and collect my daughter. She used to come home for lunches. and you only shoot from on Mondays and Fridays. She used to come home, and you only get an hour. So I used to pick her up in the car, bring her home, have lunch together, and then take her back. And she loved that, and so did we. But then when we had no car, that meant I went down the school with a go-kart. That sounds like a joke, doesn't it? But I really did. I dragged, because I could have said to her, I'm sorry, you can't come home Mondays and Fridays anymore. But that was like her last year in the school that she was at, and I just didn't want to say she couldn't come home anymore. And high school, they don't allow children to come home for school at lunches. So yeah, I used to drag the go-kart down there, and then have half of her lunch would be on the go-kart, and so she would eat some of it on the way home, and then she'd be home for about 25 minutes, and then we'd go back on the go-kart. I suppose from her perspective that actually was great fun. From my perspective, boy, it was a headache, and I'd be exhausted because she's getting so heavy on the go-kart. I don't know whether you have like go-karts in other countries. So when I say go-kart, what I mean is back in the 1950s, there used to be these fantastic big Silver Cross prams, and when the prams had been finished with, people would use the wheels to make a go-kart. And my dad had a go-kart when he was like 11, 12, 13, and would take it out, and I managed to find some wheels on one of these free sites, and like Gumtree or something, and I gave them to my dad, and my dad made the go-kart like the one that he had. And I had one as well, actually. I had one as a child, so that was really nice. So from her perspective, it was probably great fun. So I'm towards the end of the video now, and you can see that I've got a lot of my decorations up in my lounge. You'll see me writing some Christmas cards out. As I said before, I'm absolutely determined to get all the cards out before I have to pay for first class post. It's not a massive difference per card, but when you add up, if you're sending lots, really does get quite expensive. Someone did ask how much first class stamp is, and it's like £1.65, I think, for one card. So it is quite pricey. So I wrote out quite a lot, and I really do need, I realise I need a new address book. I'm holding on to this address book because I've had it for so long, but it really is now falling to pieces. So I can ask, my mum was asking me what sort of things I might like, so I could give her back my address book, seeing that she updated it a lot when she gave it to me the first time. She gave it to me as a present, and she put loads of the addresses in for me, which was very kind. And so I've managed to get most of those cards to the post office. I've just got some now that I need to drop into houses locally, and we'll do a little light visit, a little light tour in the car at the same time as dropping the cards round. So thank you so much for watching my video. Thank you for your ongoing support when you add comments and questions and talk about what you're up to. What you will see right towards the end of the video is clips of one of our amazing cathedrals. You'll see how it's all lit up, and if you stay for a little bit longer, you'll also hear some music, which was absolutely stunning. So thank you for your support of my videos and watching my journey and your kindness, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye!